With these smaller ones, I'm not going to use any clay. You can see right here that if you put it in, there's hardly any room for clay. So all you do is just I'm going to put some glue in and then wrap the foil around it to make it tighter. So this is just to give you guys a look at what the clay looks and feels like. It's very sticky, and after a while you're gonna need water to wet your hands with, because it's virtually paper clay, almost paper mache like. Model Magic does not feel like this. It feels like foamy almost, and it sticks, but it doesn't have the gluey property and the sandable property that Hearty clay and paper clay has. Hearty clay. And it's super lightweight. When I say super lightweight, they mean super lightweight. I mean, look how much of this I'm using. A ridiculous amount. I mean, that's all clay. And if that was, normal modeling clay weight, it would be unbearable. And my arms would be like dead by the end of the convention. So this stuff is just like, I was going to throw it to the street, but that is sort of stupid. So yeah, it's super light, and it's really, really easy to mold. And actually right now what I've been doing is, I will demonstrate. I dab my fingers in water, and actually I don't want this to fall over, but I'll use my thumb. I just smear the clay across the wood. Like that, yeah, and I got a better piece of it so you can see. And what I'm doing is, this is hard with one hand. I'm covering the whole area, and then I'm going to indent around here to give it some dimension, and then tiny bit raised in the middle to give a similar look of the other side. Alright, so these are drying, all this area around the knuckles, as I call them, and while that was drying, I worked on the detailing here. As you can see, it's sort of the thorny vine, and then below it is some weird gold detailing. So I added that, and I'm going to let that dry. And then we'll go to cut.
Here we have some pictures of my Keyblade, all finished and primed, and with the claws attached, glued on, and like I said, primed. Everything's ready to paint. In comparison with some of the printed out outlines I have for the Keyblade, just so you can look at that. Next, we have pictures of the wood filler against the primer, so that way you can see the grain a lot better. And then once I put that wood filler in, you just sort of smush it in there to fill in the grain, and then sand it down so that it's nice and smooth, and then you cover it with another layer of primer. That's how I did it, at least. Here you can see that I covered the handle with more clay so that it'd be comfortable to hold, because I found it actually painful to hold the wooden handle. Next step would be to obviously spray paint the primary color on first. I did the blue first because it was the largest area. I covered the handle area because it was supposed to be green, and I didn't want the spray paint to react poorly with the acrylic or to show through, because I know that the oil paints don't work necessarily very well with acrylic. I don't know if it needs explaining, but the idea is obviously that I use tape to cover, tape in like plastic bags to cover what I didn't want the black spray paint to get on, so that way I could spray paint the claws and over the blue spray paint and not have a problem. Ask me if you're confused about how I spray painted this, because it's quite simple. I did acrylic for the green part at the bottom, and then I just duct taped the purple part over the handle over the clay that was also colored green. And what else? And then I used acrylic paint on the details for the vine and the gold piece on the top.
Fragile, not fragile, little details, and you would think they move, but really they're quite sturdy. And then I'm going to put a layer of paint. This is a really cheap kind of paint, but it works. It does its job.
Beetle crust, and I used a sort of paper mache type of material. This material's sort of messy and to use, and you're not going to get what you want if you want it to be clean looking. It's good for the Keyblade that I wanted, because the Keyblade was supposed to be sort of gross and old and decaying and fossilized and not very polished. So if you're using it for something like that, you don't care how good it looks, then yeah, go ahead for it, but it's really expensive and not worth your time.